Lite Pro Beach Volleyball Tour comes east to Seaside Heights. And the boardwalk is absolutely bustling on a career day here in Jersey. And hi again, everybody, and welcome. I'm Bill McDonald along with Paul Sutter.
I haven't seen you in a long time.
Yeah. You know who I am? I'm Chris Marlowe's caddy. I'm carrying his clubs today because he's on assignment elsewhere, but we do have Paul Sunderland.
If you're his caddy, what does that make me?
You own the club, baby.
All right, at least for a day.
All right,
At least for a day. Chairman of the board. Chairman of the boardwalk.
Oh, boy, he wants to be top dog. Now, I haven't been here in a year, but, Paul, you know what? I come back to the Pro Beach Volleyball Tour. Not a whole lot has changed. Karch and Kent, they're on another streak.
Well, with respect to Karch Kirai and Kent Steffes, I agree. Not much indeed has changed. With respect to the rest of the tour, a lot has changed. Karch Kirai and Kent Steffes won 16 tournaments together last year. They're bettering that pace early this season. They've won 8 out of the first 11 events. But teams 2 through 12, maybe even down to 14, are much stronger than I've seen in 10 years out on the Pro Beach Tour. The problem is that those teams are all killing each other to get the honor of playing a very well-rested and talented Karch Kirai and Kent Steffes on into the finals. And Kirai and Steffes just sitting there waiting for a tired, beat-up team.
And taking that into consideration when we look at the tournament update, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to see a familiar face today in our first match, aren't we, Paul?
Well, St. John Smith played with Randy Stoklos for a long, long time, and everybody knows that is no longer the case. St. John Smith split with Randy Stoklos. He's played with 5 different partners in the last 6 weeks. Last tournament, of course, with Randy Stoklos in San Antonio. Then Eric Boyles, Fort Worth, Hovland and Hovland. They didn't fare so well. Chris Young last week, or a couple of weeks ago, I should say, in Cleveland. And then who will he play with this week? Who is this week's mystery guest in Seaside? Dan Verbalovich, a great player in his own right, coming back off some injuries. His last win was in San Jose in 1990. A couple of other new teams to talk about. Last week, Scott Akatebe played with Tim Hovland. The Hov is not here. He's injured, sitting out a week. Steve Timmons teamed up with the Ak this week, a very respectable 5th position. Last week, Eduardo Anginho was injured, so Jose Loyola made a couple extra $1,000 playing with a Japanese import. Anginho and Loyola, of course, back mixing things up. They finish in 5th also, so a lot of changes, but some things still remain the same. Kirai and Steffes playing well.
They're still in the tournament. However, Karch and Kent in the losers bracket. We will see them, as mentioned, in that first match against Smith and Verb. But consistency has really paid off for Karch and Kent. All you have to do is look at the Grand Prix standings.
Well, 1-8 out of 11 when they've come through the losers bracket or gone all the way through undefeated. And they have a huge lead right now in the Miller Lite Grand Prix standings. Randy Stoklos in 3rd, St. John Smith, then Ricky Ludes and Brent Frohoff. Brooke Vandeweghe, again, I think the most improved player in 1993, along with teammate Adam Johnson in 7 and 8. And there's the rest of the group: Hovland, Dodd, Lewis, Whitmarsh, and of course Loyola and Anginho. That is the top group right now. Yeah. Number 1 player, $75,000.
Very, very quickly, Mike Dodd, Mike Whitmarsh, they're in the final, but Mike Whitmarsh was taken to the hospital. We'll tell you more about that story a little later on.
Miller Lite Pro Beach Volleyball is brought to you by Miller Lite. It's everything you want a beer to be. By Paul Mitchell, cruelty-free salon hair care. By Killer Loop Sunglasses by Bausch & Lomb. By Southwest Airlines, it's just plain smart. And by Gatorade for that deep down body thirst.
We are back, the Miller Lite AVP Pro Beach Volleyball Tour 1993. And there is our site on the shore in Jersey, Seaside Heights. And it is a perfect day for volleyball or just about anything else. Semifinal action. Karch Kirai, Kent Steffes going up against Christopher St. John, St. John Smith, and Dan Verbalovich as St. John finds a new partner, as Paul said, for another week. Here's our weather. 81, beautiful day. It's baking down at the Shaw. Boy, look at that. You have to
the shore? How about the sand? Homegrown. Glad to be back on the beach. Enough of parking lots and synthetic places. We're back on the beach, and that means the sand is a triple dipper. It's deep, 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 deep. Also hot. Very pretty sight, but bright white reflective sand, and don't burn yourself.
Got to get your springs out to play in this stuff here this afternoon. There is our court, and here are our referees. Greg Krause will be up.
Jeff Jordan down below, both officials with a lot of experience. And Billy, you were talking about the sand. Now we're out at sea. And, you know, when you come back east and we come to New Jersey, we'll be in Belmar later in the year, you're always concerned a little bit about thunderstorms and humidity and those sorts of things. But I'm telling you, the local Junior Chamber of Commerce should shoot a commercial today.
A little later on, we'll take a shot of the boardwalk, and it is full. Kristaps, Smith, Verbalovic, as Kristaps look to make it 5 in a row and win their 9th tournament of the year. At this juncture last year, they had won 5 out of 11 tournaments. That's because Karch didn't play early on in the year because he was in Italy. So this year, they're 8 out of 11. So actually, they're ahead of last year's win pace. If you can understand what I just said, you've got a degree somewhere.
All right, here's very simplified. Last year, they played in 21 tournaments together, and they won 16. This year, they're going to play in 24, 25 tournaments, including the King of the Beach, and could obviously win more than 16 together.
And here's Kent Steffes with the first hit of the game, and it's over for Verbalovic. And immediately, a controversy. And Greg Krause said he saw the line move.
Shot down the line, and Greg Krause is saying, I saw the line move. Kim Pickering is on the line.
Now they're calling it out.
Let's listen, Billy.
1, serving 0.
The linesman has called the ball out and saying that the vibration of the ball hitting the sand moved the line and that the ball was out of bounds.
Let's go. I am. So Smith and Verbalovic up 1-0 early. And St. John Smith back to serve. Very familiar face, as mentioned. You've seen him many, many times. Career Open wins 134. And he's going sky ball with his second serve. Steffes blocked Verbalovic right back. It'll be Karch's turn. And Kirai and Steffes on the good side here to start things off.
Kirai and Steffes, as we have talked about over and over again, when they're playing at the top of their game, may be unbeatable. But Kent Steffes, there you see, 24 years of age now, will be 25 pretty soon. Told me, look, Paul, when I'm 25, even though I make about $500,000 a year, I'm 24, they won't let me rent a car. You have to be 25. I said, come on.
And the block results in a point as Karch gets the block up.
Please check time.
We saw a graphic about the sand here and had a little fun with it, but the surface here, the sand is so deep, it's really, really tough to play out here, to move. It's like thick soup. And the teams with a better ball control are going to do better as competition has gone on. And Verbalovic and Smith are a perfect example of that. They control the ball well, they move well, they play good defense and scramble. Some confusion here with the clock, I think, Billy. Of course, we're playing a 9-minute game clock, 8 minutes, 38 seconds.
It was a score. They
left.
did not give a score to Kirai Steffes, and now it is. And Steffes serves into the net. I think
more
that's a little
important than the clock, exactly.
Absolutely. But if you're unfamiliar with Pro Beach Volleyball, there is a time clock, but it is the first one to 15. Got to win by 2. There's Dan Verbalovic back in the spotlight, 6'2", 185. He's reached that magic age of 30. And you see his career wins, lacking with some of the other stars out there today, but still quite a talent. How do you think now early on, Paul, does this Smith-Verbalovic duo team up? Strengths, weaknesses, as we take a look at Karch as he's going to serve it up.
Well, there's someone with no weaknesses, Karch Kirai. But speaking of Smith and Verbalovic, strengths, certainly ball control. They know each other very well. Both hang out and play together down at State Beach. Weakness, neither of them are great blockers. Verbalovic is only 6'3", but for his height, I think an underrated blocker, technically very, very solid. They will have good chemistry together. They'll side out extremely well. They'll have good ball control. And Verbalovic has already shown that he can block Kent Steffes. That ball set a little tight. Now, I'm telling you, on a synthetic surface in a parking lot where the sand is only a couple of inches deep and the ball is set tight instead of out of this soupy sand we have here, this ball is set tight by Karch Kirai. Now, Steffes normally would go right over the top of Dan Verbalovic, but he's unable to get out of this sand. I'll bet he's jumping a couple, 3 inches lower. Smith in the cross-court defense. And it's just harder for Steffes to put the ball away here. This was the problem that they had against Mike Dodd and Mike Whitmarsh in the finals, or I should say in the semifinals earlier today. Steffes could not side out against big Mike Whitmarsh.
St. John's defense pays off. We're at 3-1 early on here in our semifinal with Dodd and Whitmarsh waiting if Whitmarsh is healthy. And real quickly, we don't want to talk it over too much, but we do have to make mention that Mike Whitmarsh was taken to the hospital for dehydration. He's had problems with cramping throughout really his career, and he went in and he should be back, but we're not sure. Steffes. St. John with the dig.
Great play, getting to it.
And just out.
Hook shot, just wide.
And we will take the turn right here. 3-2, Smith Vrbolovich over Karayan Steffes. Be right back to Jersey. Paul and I will be after this. Stay with us. And as Sam Lagana calls it, the World Tour of Pro Beach Volleyball. Summer Avenue Beach. Come on down. If you're at the Jersey Shore, there's miles and miles of what we out west call beach that they call out here shore. And I'll tell you what, it is packed and it is beautiful. And we are in semifinal action. Bill McDonald subbing for Big Cy here along with Paul Sunderland, and glad to be here on this beautiful day. And it's 3-2 as we take the turn. Smith Vrbolovich over Karayan Steffes, and Kent Steffes will be back to serve. Now on the good side will be Smith and Vrbolovich, and of course that means they are serving into the wind.
Wind coming mostly off the Atlantic, and a decided advantage right now for Karayan Steffes. Vrbolovich and Smith got 3 out of the 5 when they were on the good side.
Verb over the top, but Kent's right there. And nobody home as Steffes pounds it home.
Play in transition. Steffes getting the good jump early, and Vrbolovich looped the ball over the block of Karch-Kiraev, but just too high and not deep enough or shallow enough. Steffes an easy point scoring opportunity, which he converted.
You've been peeking on Karayan Steffes. How have they been playing this weekend compared to others? Is the machine well oiled?
I don't think so this week. I watched their first match yesterday morning against one of the local qualifiers, and they stunk. I mean, they beat the qualifier.
That's telling it like it is.
Well, but they were just letting balls drop, and they were not into it mentally. They played better as the day went along. But in the semifinals, first match this morning against Dodd and Whitmarsh, they lose 12-11 in overtime, and Kent Steffes had some problems siding out. Since that time, they have been very good coming back through the contenders bracket. They beat Anginio and Loyola 15-2, and then they beat Johnson and Vanderway. Johnson and Vanderway continue to have a very solid summer. They finished 4th this week. But Karayan Steffes a little more up and down this weekend.
Big pound by Kent cross court as St. John was covering behind Verb. And it's 3-3 still.
We've talked about how difficult, and I'm not exaggerating, this sand here is deep. Look at the soup that the players have to move through. That's just to make a move. That's a player who's just doing footwork.
Come on, Dan.
Danny Vrbolovich right back at him. Kent Steffes 4-3 now as Karayan Steffes take the lead. What sand in Southern California might be the deepest as we take a look at this replay that these guys might have played in?
Well, this is a lot like Hermosa, and the players practice there each and every week, and they get used to it. But we've gone out to so many stadium-style courts, like in Cleveland. Another point-scoring opportunity here. Vrbolovich really having a hard time siding out. He's lost his aggressiveness, maybe his confidence just a little bit. It's a lot like Hermosa Beach, a little bit like Manhattan Beach, and some others. Belmar Beach here in New Jersey is also very deep, soupy sand, but we've played in Cleveland on a stage. We played in Boulder, Colorado, in a park where the courts are just built off the ground, and I'm telling you, it is easy to jump and move. Not the case here in Seaside Heights.
We're going to take a look at the last point with our score standing at 5-3. Karayan Steffes here in the semifinal.
Look, St. John Smith caught blocking Dan Vrbolovich out of his game right now. He has played so solidly, and St. John Smith talking to his partner right now has really kept him into the match. And there are 236,000 people at last count on that boardwalk. When it gets to 240,000, they close it down.
Just on that side of the boardwalk, too. Verb, can he side out here? Looking to go 6-3 on the bump set from Karch. Steffes! Wieners that time, and it's 6-3.
I'll tell you, Kent Steffes is finding his game just in time, because earlier in this tournament, I think he would admit that he has not played particularly well, but he's blocking well right now, and maybe it's taken him a little while to adjust to playing in this deep surface. Great timing here. This ball is set way off the net. Look at that, trying to get as high as he can out of this deep soup.
Once again, going to Vrbolovich. St. John the set, and another chance to go 7-3 and a side change.
Verb can't side out.
Big time, and they just shut him out on that side. 5 in a row. Karayan Steffes, and they are taking command here at 7-3 in our semi. Back in a moment. And Bill McDonald and Paul Sunderland welcome you back along Prime Network. There's our Southwest Airlines scoreboard, 7-3, Karayan Steffes. And on a windy day, how appropriate. We talked to Brent Frohoff about setting in the wind.
I'm Brent Roth. I'm at Heights, New Jersey. And as you can see, well, I don't know if you can see, but we got a pretty stiff breeze here today. There's a couple things to remember about setting the ball with the wind and against the wind. Okay, generally there's two sides of the court, a good side and a bad side. Say I'm on the bad side of the court and the wind is coming at my back. I'm going to set the ball a few feet off the net and let the ball drift on so my partner can have a good attack at it. The ball will drift on this way, my partner will come in and he'll kill it. When you're on the good side of the net, the wind will be into you. So most of the time, or always actually, you're going to set the ball almost on the net and let it drift off so that your partner can have a good swing at it. Also, when you're playing in the wind, try to pass the ball a little bit lower so the ball doesn't get caught up in the wind and the wind can take it wherever it wants to. So go out there and try those things and think about the wind always. Good luck.
Appropriate that Brent Frohoff would teach us. Certainly one of the sweetest deep dishes anywhere in the world of pro beach volleyball. And right, you have got to be able to pass and set the ball in windy conditions if you want to be successful at any level of outdoor volleyball.
Right here we have Kirai Steffes and St. John Smith and Dan Vrabalovic. You've been a cave all year and expected to see Stokos and Smith. That's long gone, a couple of months ago. And Smith has found verb for this week, and they're down 3-7 and back to the sky ball for St. John.
St. John Smith serving the sky ball right down his line, and then the onshore breeze blows it all the way across to Kent Steffes.
Come on, line.
St. John just not there as he was groveling through the sand and side out, and Kent Steffes will go back and serve.
You mentioned the split of St. John Smith and Randy Stokos. Not a bad streak. We talk about domination, and that certainly speaks of Kirai and Steffes. But Randy Stokos is now, of course, with Brian Lewis, if you haven't been following us of late. And the first week together in San Diego, they took second. The next week in Boulder, Colorado, they took third. But the last 2 weeks, last week in Cleveland, they were ninth. And this week here in Seaside Heights, they were seventh. So struggling and struggling a lot.
And there were rumors that St. John Smith was going to play with one of the Brazilian stars this week, but that did not come about.
Well, as soon as the other Brazilian heard about that, he said, hey, my shoulder feels a lot better. I better get back out onto the beach. And Tim Hovland better do the same. He's got the strained hamstring. I saw him this week in Los Angeles. He was really hurting. Loses Scott Akatubby. Akatubby goes with Steve Timmons, and they play very well together. So we'll see what happens with that trio, Timmons, Akatubby, and Hovland next week in Chicago.
I think we all miss Hov, don't you?
Oh, I miss him. I think Hov adds a, you know, when Hov's not here, it's just not the same.
It isn't. You need the presence, don't you? 7-3, Kirai Steffes.
And he'll remind us of that next week.
He'll be watching. St. John up top again. It's going to be handled this time by Karch Kirai. Over on two. Good play by Steffes as he didn't want to take any chances, and it was the open court. Wide open Prairie in the back, and it'll be side out still at 7-3 with Dodd and Whitmarsh waiting in our final.
Well, at least we know it's Mike Dodd waiting. We're not sure if Mike Whitmarsh is back at the tournament site as yet. Of course, we'll try to spot him and get that information to you. But Mike was feeling poorly and went and got an intravenous condition. And he's feeling badly right now, or worse, gets a lucky break. Dan Vrabalovic. And Verb, if you can just tell by his body language, he's just not into it here.
He's gotten off his head.
Yeah, he's negative. He's gotten off to a bad start. This is a huge opportunity for Dan Vrabalovic. Kirai bump setting and sets the ball over, but look at Kirai just reading his own mistake, but then compounds it, doesn't control what turned out to be a very easy chance. But Verb has got to get into this match a little bit mentally. He has not won since 1990, that with Kent Steffes. Then he had a very serious knee injury, reconstructive surgery, struggled most of last year. It's a chance for Verb to win a tournament.
Played many years with John Hanley. Kirai will serve.
Anytime you're playing with Smith, you got a chance to win. So many tricks, so many shots, can side out.
There's nothing he hasn't seen, or a situation he has not seen. So he has felt the pressure throughout. There's a big hit that time, and Verb let loose a little bit that time with nobody up.
And after St. John Smith set the ball a little extra gusto into the call, just exhorting Dan Vrabalovic to get up and bang the ball.
St. John once again with the wind.
He's going to try to get this sky ball as deep as he can. That's not deep enough. That's midcourt.
And easily controlled by Karch.
Sorry, Billy. What St. John's trying to do is serve the ball in the back 5 feet of the court. And then it makes a very long pass from either Steffes or Kirai to the setter, whoever that may be. And then it's a long set. The sky ball only works well if you get it deep.
Working Verb. Tight, but nobody was there. Karch couldn't dig that one out. He was on his heels. So that time, a little fortunate there for Smith and Vrbolovich as that set was about to sail over.
Well, Kirai bails out right now, not realizing that that set is 50-50 right on top of the net. And Kirai and Steffes are what we call dropping or fake blocking on Vrbolovich right now, figuring that they will have good chance to dig it.
Low set, dug easily. Here's a chance for St. John to get a point. Right back at him. Karch by the barrier. Steffes. Good rally.
From the left. Look at that.
Got it. St. John, you talk about the shots, Paul Sunderland, and there's one. Just dig it out of the bag.
Just slicing and dicing. St. John Smith on his offside. Now, Karch conservative here, just keeping the ball in play. Trying to get it on Vrbolovich, but Smith is on the left. Now, watch Smith run straight. Now, look at what he does with his hand at the end. He had Steffes and Kirai both down the line side.
Right in the middle. Nice slap there by Karch Kirai right past Dan Vrbolovich. And the side out goes to Kirai and Steffes.
I'd say Kirai and Steffes have adjusted to the depth of the surface here because they're bombing away right now against the block of Dan Vrbolovich. He needs to get a couple of stuffs.
Got a couple of guys out there with uniforms retired at UCLA. Karch Kirai, St. John Smith, who's setting right now for Dan Vrbolovich. Great dig. Great stuff. St. John, not quite. Points. And we are at 8-4.
What a fabulous get. Fully stretched by Karch Kirai. Look at this. Reading, covering. Steffes gives Kirai a good set, and then Karch really ran under it a little bit. I think then again, the depth of the sand, you're sinking down so far, it really, really affects your timing.
5.5 minutes remaining on the clock, which is, of course, not a factor at this point. And
Greg,
we're going to take a break right here ourselves, though, to do some business. Back with more in a minute. 11-4, Kirai and Steffes in charge in our semifinal. And our player dig segment this week. Hey, we know the players have an opinion on the NBA final. What do you think, guys?
Well, I think Michael's way too tough. Bulls all the way. No way Barkley can bring him back.
The thing is, the Bulls are probably going to sweep. I can't stand Barkley. Ainge just killed the Lakers back in the 80s. It's got to be the Bulls. Michael gets the 3P. What can I do? I'm bummed.
You mean the Lakers aren't in the finals this year? I think the big factor would have to be to Will Purdue. I mean, he's unstoppable. Bill Paxton, everyone's contributing this year, and Chicago's definitely going to 3P because of it.
All right, I'll quote Marv Alford.
Jordan!
I think we need Mr. Charles Barkley to continue to carry that team on his shoulders. He's got to get a big harness, get him on the shoulders. We need Ainge out from 3. We need Marley out from 3. We need those boys to start lighting it up from 3. We need Barkley to keep doing those crazy things, throwing some elbows, going straight to the hoop strong. Come on.
Chicago, 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 I think.
No doubt about it, but I think Tony Zapata ought to give the pregame talk to the Phoenix Suns. He's got it wired.
What's with the Will Purdue stuff?
And Bill Paxton. Is there a Bill Paxton in the NBA? I thought it was John.
And that's Vrbolovich and Smith as they try to get themselves motivated here and get back in this game. 11-4, they are down big time to Kirai and Steffes as we have taken the turn here at the Boardwalk, Seaside Heights, New Jersey. Bill McDonald and Paul Sunderland bringing you the semifinal action. Karch on 2.
Little knucklers.
Little cute volleyball there. That's going to go over. St. John says enough is enough, but Karch says, no, I'm going to keep looking
at all these oversets. A lot of ball handling mistakes. Tough chance for St. John. He had no approach.
But he gets it down anyway.
Doesn't matter.
And you're right, 2 oversets.
A lot of ball handling mistakes. Again, I know I'm saying this over and over again, but this is real soup to move in. And when you get to the ball late, it's not as easy a chance to go ahead and set the ball accurately. Now watch Smith. No approach whatsoever. He just looks at the defense and then slicing and dicing.
Off the block for a side out from Ken Steffes, who is still wearing the bandage over the scar on his cheek. 11-5. They are on top.
Now, I know Chris has mentioned several times that he got that playing paintball. It's not that he got hit playing paintball. He was running for his life because he didn't want to get shot and killed, so to speak, with the staining paint. Tripped and fell, and a branch got him up around the cheek and gave him a huge gash in there. And Thus the Band-Aid.
Thus it's still there. I don't think he wants it scarring over in the sun. He's had it for over a month now.
Oh, yeah. Well, Kid's
over.
plastic surgeon says he's got to wear that and keep it out of the sun for 6 months. 6 months.
6 months. Conservative plastic surgeon.
I don't think so. He's Michael Jackson's plastic surgeon. I'd say he's pretty aggressive.
Good.
Oh, big time heat off of Steffes right into St. John Smith, and that's going to go back to Karian Steffes.
Card survey.
Watch it.
11-5.
Passing the ball well here. And we talked about setting the ball good distance from the net, and Steffes just unloading. Smith in the right spot. Sometimes you have to take the punishment.
Nice pop, almost in the face. Chance for a point on two. Herb right back. Interesting stuff. Good dig by St. John. Now he's got to go get it. This could be a pound by Karch. Yes, sir.
Players having to scramble, make the best of tough situations. Not as explosive as we're used to seeing them on prefab courts. But Karian Steffes getting it done with a commanding lead. And, you know, Smith and Vrabalovic have not made much use of their timeouts. They haven't taken, they've taken
12-5.
no timeouts. I remember them taking one sand early, possibly.
Well,
or was that Karian? Now they take one. Now they take one, but they've waited long. They've waited too long.
And St. John knows how to milk those timeouts as good as anybody in the game. Gonna take a break. Back with more. Don't move. Our Southwest Airlines scoreboard shows Karian Steffes on top by 7, and there's the time in the lower right-hand corner of our semifinal. Dodd and Whitmarsh, if Whitmarsh is able to go in our final. Vrabalovic. That was a good swing that time. Whitmarsh is back and in the players' tent is what we have just received word. So Mike obviously trying to get loose, relax a little bit. He's in the tent, and we'll just have to see how he goes. But that is the word we get.
Mike Whitmarsh really working hard physically to overcome those dehydration and cramping problems. He's gotten a dietitian. He's gotten a physical trainer to try to improve his fitness. But sometimes, you know, when players worry about something like that so much, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. You know, instead of, you know, taking lots of fluids, and which I'm sure he is on a regular basis, or certainly should be, I think you worry so much about cramping or dehydration that sometimes it's going to get up and get you anyway.
Which is something we'll get into during that final. Here is Steffes with the serve. Good bumper by St. John. That is a familiar sight. And once again, they are laying off, as you mentioned, on Vrabalovic. Why not?
Going to try to serve him tough. This old-style volleyball with no blocking. Years ago, nobody
Side
blocked.
out till sunset.
That's right. Nobody blocked because you were not allowed to block over the net. That changed, of course, several years ago. And now blocking and jump serving have become such an important, if not dominant, part of the game. But Karian Steffes feel that with a 12-5 lead, 3 minutes and 15 seconds on the clock, that they can just serve Vrabalovic and finish it out. Quite frankly, I disagree with this strategy. They've been coming through the losers. They had to serve Vrabalovic, play their normal style defense, block, and get it over with.
That's just a nice touch right over the top, and no chance for Karch to get there. And there is Mike Whitmarsh getting some treatment on those legs, taken to the hospital because of the exhaustion, the dehydration. That was about an hour and a half or so ago, and he is back. And Mike Dodd healthy as ever. You want to talk about opposite ends. If Mike Whitmarsh has had problems during his past, during his career, Mike Dodd seems like he can go just about forever.
Well, Mike Dodd had 1 or 2 very difficult seasons when he had a shoulder knee problem and then a virus that really took the strength out of him. But
during the heyday,
other than that, he has always been there. Regardless if it was 95 degrees and humid, he, like St. John Smith, who in 15 years has never missed a tournament, like Tim Hovland, except for this week with the hamstring, and I think a smart decision to sit out hamstring, a very serious injury. But those guys just play and play and play.
Nobody. Come on.
No chance. As once again, Verb was backpedaling and really playing out the string, as you mentioned right now, at 12-6. Karian Steffes eyeing the final right now as they have a comfortable lead over Smith and Vrabalovic. Pretty good showing, of course, for Smith and Vrabalovic, even if they do take the third here in their first week as a team together. We'll see if they crank it up again next week in Chicago.
That set was well off the net. Yeah, I think Smith and Vrabalovic will stay together. Third, a very good finish, and They had very good chances saved for this match. They played very well against Dodd Whitmarsh in the finals of the winner's bracket. Fell a little bit short.
And of course, Verb won that San Jose Open with Kent Steffes.
So memorable because Kent Steffes was
just
had been dumped by Karch Kirai a couple of weeks earlier for Brent Frohoff, and then Steffes goes up there with Verbalovic, and they beat I got to get the name straight, Frohoff and Kirai in the finals. It was great.
Payback time. Here is Verb's miss. Dropped the elbow a little bit, dropped the shoulder into the net.
Another chance to score, and there were a couple of point scoring opportunities early in this match when Kirai and Steffes were up 7-4, and the result was still in doubt that Smith and Verbalovic missed a couple of chances. Kirai and Steffes having their way right now with Dan Verbalovic.
Cruise control for the K&K tandem of Karch and Kent.
Timeout.
And a timeout is called by Smith and Verbalovic, down 6-13 with 2.5 minutes remaining here in the semifinal, and we'll keep it right here. You want to talk about consistency? We showed you the money that was available in this tournament. How about the money that has already been doled out? Kirai and Steffes, quite naturally, the big paydays as they play together and win together.
But look at the differential between 1 and 2, and then you drop down to third position. Randy Stoklos, nearly $160,000. Mike Dodd, Brian Lewis make up the top 5. Here's the next group. St. John Smith all the way down in 10th position right now. Mike Whitmarsh, Brooke Vandeweghe, Ludes, and Frohoff. But Kirai and Steffes have won both Cuervos, each putting, therefore, $100,000 into their pocket.
And Ocean City will be on our agenda as we take a look at the... Would you go on one of those rides?
No, I look at those rides and point my kids at them. I said, go ahead. I give them 20 bucks and say, go ahead. Take your mother. I used to love them, but they're not my cup of tea anymore.
Hey, Pam's here helping us out doing stats, and she was all over those rides last night. That's what we heard.
I just think I've been on too many Aeroflot plane trips around the Soviet Union, and these rides over here feel like their flights most of the time.
Just been too many places, period. 13-6, Kirai and Steffes over Smith Verbalovic. I'm Bill McDonald. Is Chris Marlowe off doing something else this week? And, of course, Paul Sunderland here, as always.
No, me, nobody. Come on, no!
That's a tough one to get down, and Steffes just slaps it long. And that will be
play will take the turn. 13-7.
a turn.
Kirai Steffes leads.
Kirai Steffes still well in the lead. 13-7 over Smith and Verbalovic.
Back on the beach in Seaside Heights, the Miller Lite AVP Pro Beach Tour 93, and we're taking a look at a couple of the top teams and how did the other finishers do this week. Of course, a very competitive tournament. Johnson and Vandeweghe in 4th position. They played well and consistently again. Akatubby and Timmons, first time together this year anyway, in 5th. The other 5th, and Gino and Loyola. They continue to have a very, very consistent season. Brian Lewis and Randy Stoklos really struggling down in 7th. They were 9th last week. Brent Frohoff and Ricky Ludes, they have been very consistent, but down in 7th this week. Matt Sonicson and Troy Tanner, a new team this week, playing very, very well. Also in 9th, Al Jansen, Craig Muttart. They are always in the middle of the pack. They're going to get right up here into the semifinals once this week. And John Hanley and 20-year-old David Swadek in 9th position. Another solid, consistent finish. And John Brivich and Bill Suwara, their best finish together this year, also a 9th.
Right now, smooth sailing, either by air or by sea for Kirai and Steffes. They lead 13-7 as St. John Smith trying to get the crowd going in his favor over on the big bleacher. Directly across from us, and maybe it'll work. St. John up for the point. Blocked by Steffes. Take that, St. John.
Another point scoring opportunity. Now it's not as important a consequence as earlier in this match. Smith and Verbalovic had some chances early, and Kirai and Steffes shut the door.
I want to jump on something here after Kent serves. Going short this time. Ken Verb side out. Chance for Kent. Into the net. And it'll be side out Smith and Verbalovic. Stokey and Lewis. What do you think? Stay together? Do you see a breakup in the future for them as we take a look at a replay?
Kirai and Steffes have been playing good defense, and no doubt they're going to stay together. Randy Stoklos went to Brian Lewis to win tournaments. He didn't think, in his opinion, right or wrong, he didn't think he could win with St. John Smith anymore, even though they won this year in Fort Myers. But we'll just have to wait and see what happens in the next couple of weeks. There you see what has happened to that duo since they got together in San Diego. Good off the bat and then struggling since then. They lost to Akatubby and Timmins in the round before the quarterfinals and then came back through the losers bracket. But I give it a couple more weeks. If they finish 7th and 9th or 5th, don't get into the finals, I think Randy Stoklos might think about making a change. You know, he played with St. John Smith for over a decade. Probably one of the most difficult decisions he ever made was to split with St. John Smith. But once you split once, I think it becomes easier the second or third time. And Stoklos is 32, and he wants to win more titles. So we'll have to keep a very close eye on that team. Lewis and Stoklos are capable of winning tournaments, but they've struggled the last couple of weeks.
We are set on our very first game point as we are right behind a second ago. Great shot from right behind Karts Kirai. And Smith and Vravolovich somehow trying to dig themselves out of this hole. There's a great shot, as you'll be able to see the serve perfectly coming from Karts Kirai. 14-7 the football score. And Mike Whitmarsh appears ready to play. So it appears as though at least we will have a final beginning when that was in question just a little while ago.
Well, one of the luxuries, Bill, of winning the winner's bracket is that you get at least a 2-hour, sometimes a 3-hour break, which Mike Whitmarsh has had to go sit and rest. In this case, get an IV treatment. I think he'll be okay.
Please tell the story of last week if our viewers weren't with us in Cleveland. A chance for Karts Kirai to go take a rest when he was really feeling ill.
Well, Karts Kirai had a stomach virus and threw up all night Saturday night. And I saw him in the players' tent after the semifinals, and they won. And Karts looked about as mad as I've ever seen him as he serves for the game here and serving hard at Dan Vravolovich. And I said, what's wrong? He says, Paul, I've been puking my guts out. The end of the game here, Dan Vravolovich and St. John Smith not offering much resistance. Karts Kirai and Kent Steffes.
Well, they messed up our story.
Right.
A little more time.
They ended it too quickly. We'll finish up that one. Suffice it to say, Karts is feeling better today than last week.
Absolutely. That is it for our semifinal, and it was pretty much a walk by the shore for Kirai and Steffes. They will meet Dodd and Whitmarsh in our final. Much, much more to come. Stay with us. We are back on Prime Network. Pro Beach Volleyball, the Miller Lite Tour Seaside Heights Open here in New Jersey as we take a look down the very crowded boardwalk. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's that time again. And what time is that? It is time for the mailbag, brought to you by Paul Mitchell.
With Brooke Vandeweghe this week in the mailbag, and as Brooke just told me, long overdue. And I think that's correct. I think Brooke is the most improved player this year on the 93 Tour. So
Thank you.
Good to have you out here.
Thank you very much.
All right, but I've been known to exaggerate. So, all right, let's get into the letters. All right, this is Diana Elkins from Shell Beach, California, and she asks, how has the introduction of the time clock to Pro Beach Volleyball affected your game-winning strategy?
My game-winning strategy? Well, that's usually when I'm ahead when the time clock ends. So,
but that didn't happen.
I just lost on the last game, so it didn't help me out too much. The time clock was to my disadvantage. But you do have a little strategy. If you're watching the time come down towards the end, you got to try some tough jump serves. You got to attack a little harder. You got to try different things. You know, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But at least you know you tried.
Has the clock made the game more exciting?
Absolutely. I think, you know, not only has it been great for television, it's been great for the fans. So I'm excited for it.
All right. Diana asks you from Van Nuys, California, and she asks, you're always talking about player injuries or players having surgery. Who pays the bill, and does the AVP have a medical plan to cover its members?
The AVP does have a medical plan. If you get hurt while at an event, the AVP will cover it. But if you get hurt during practice or during the off season, they won't cover it. Usually players have their own medical insurance.
You can afford it.
Sometimes, some years.
All right, if you win, he can afford it.
When I win, I afford it.
All right, this is from Jim Flood in Linwood, Michigan. And Jim, you have not been watching closely enough, because this is what we call a no-brainer. On the beach, in the two-man game, does a touch off the block count as a hit? I say it does. My girlfriend says it does not.
His girlfriend. Don't listen to your girlfriend. Actually, he's got it wide out hit. No, it doesn't count as a hit. It counts as a touch, and you only get 2 plays after a block. So yes, it does count.
All right, watch more closely and listen a little more closely as well. All right, last question. This is from Mark Sorensen from Clifton, New Jersey. Beach volleyball is now a strong possibility as an event at the 1996 Olympics. Have any of the top AVP players expressed an interest in playing? And how would Brooke Vandeweghe like to be an Olympian?
I would love to be an Olympian, and I think all the players would love to. 96 it's a possibility. It is not confirmed, but there is a chance, a definite chance.
All right, and I'd like to be the coach because I want to go back to the Olympics.
Would you coach me?
You need more help than I can give.
All
right. Now, Paul Mitchell Systems Salon Hair Care is our sponsor of the mailbag. So, Brooke, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
It took too long to get you into the mailbag.
Too long, but we'll do it again.
All right, keep the cards and letters coming. We'll send you a T-shirt if we read your letter on the air.
Let's win a stuffed animal.
And if you want to write old Chris Martle or Paul Sunderland, hey, write him at the Beach Bag, Prime Ticket Network, 10,000 Santa Monica Boulevard, LA, California, 90067. That was entertainment at its finest. And hey, did Sunday win the stuffed animal or what? I've got to know. We're here on Prime Network. I'm Bill McDonald. We are in Jersey as we are getting set for our final here before a massive throng on the boardwalk. And many of them, of course, have come on down here to witness pro beach volleyball, and others have gone out onto the pier and are doing that, which of course we don't want to have anything to do with because we've eaten lunch and we want to keep it. And as we pull out, we take a look at the site here. We'll be back here at Belmar Beach, very close to here along the shore. And some of the happy faces that we usually see every week on the Pro Beach Volleyball Tour. And is our policy, we like to take a look at some of the players that are on tour. And this week's player profile is veteran John Hanley. We are back at Seaside Heights, the Miller Lite Seaside Heights Open. And of course, we want to keep you up to date on what's going on around the world of volleyball. And the man in the know, of course, is our all and our own Paul Sunderland.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of the Volleyball News. You know, an awful lot was expected of the USA women's national team coming off their bronze medal performance in Barcelona last summer, and with the return of superstars Karen Kemner, Elena Oden, and Tara Cross Battle, everybody was looking forward to a great 1993 summer season. Well, unfortunately, so far the results have certainly been less than spectacular. The United States women are currently tied for 6th position in the $1 million women's inaugural Grand Prix. They have lost twice to China. They have also lost to Brazil and Korea. Their only victories coming against Japan and Germany. The last round of preliminary competition is going on this weekend down in Australia. At least they get lots of frequent flyer miles. They will be facing China, Russia, and Cuba. The good news is they only have to finish in the top 6 in order to advance into the finals of the Grand Prix in Hong Kong. We'll, of course, have those results for you on another edition of the Volleyball News. Now, moving over to the USA men's team, this week they evened their record at 3-3 in World League competition with 2 victories over the national team from Germany. Trevor Sherman playing outstanding volleyball in place of the injured Brian Ivey. Ivey will be back in the lineup when the United States goes back to Germany and then on to Greece coming up in the next couple of weeks. Now, the USVBA National Championships were just concluded in Memphis, Tennessee. The winners in the men's open division were Azix Tiger of Huntington Beach. Second was Team Paul Mitchell, and third was Roof Sportswear. In the women's open division, Nick's Fish Market, good restaurant, great volleyball team won the women's division. They were first. Speedo out of Austin, Texas was second, and No Dinks from Clackamas, Oregon was third. And as we leave you on this week's edition of the Volleyball News, let's take a look at the first team All-Americans from the men's and women's divisions at the U.S. Open Championships.
And those are the best of the best. Paul Sunderland, you want to know about it? He knows. That's the first team. We take a look at also the second team, the U.S. Open Championships, and this is the women's also right there. And those are the players that we congratulate. All right, we are here also having some fun. It's fun cam time, and for that we see the wild side of Seaside, and we know that you're going to love it. So hang on for the ride, everybody.
The car was
And I still want to know if you won a stuffed animal or not.
I won 3 stuffed animals, 2 dinosaurs, and a huge tiger.
2 dinosaurs.
And Rudy Popopko and his great AVP crew have put him in the back of the truck, and I'm going to get him in a couple of weeks in Manhattan Beach.
Kids are going to love him. Kids are going to love him. Final time. First of all, let's talk about Mike Whitmarsh and Mike Dodd. Of course, this is the big story.
Well, they were in the finals together at the Cuervo. Each of them are making their 3rd appearance in the finals this year. Mike Dodd, solid all around, no doubt about it, experienced and a good partner for Mike Whitmarsh, clearly. But the question, of course, is the physical condition of Mike Whitmarsh. Can he last? It's very, very hot down on the court. Cool and comfortable with a breeze everywhere else, but hot down on the enclosed center stadium.
What's your read on Kirai Steffes?
Well, I think they're playing better and better. I think they struggled with their side-out game as evidence of their loss in the semifinals that put them into the losers bracket, but they have steadied out. Kent Steffes is bombing the ball now. Any problems he had with the deep sand here are certainly by the board, and they're going to try to take advantage of Mike Whitmarsh.
Hang on, everybody. This is better than a roller coaster ride out on the pier. It's time now for Stuff Sunday Stuff. No. Did we have it? We had it. We'll be back to talk about more when we get back after this.
Men's Pro Beach Volleyball is brought to you by Miller Lite. It's everything you want a beer to be. By Paul Mitchell, cruelty-free salon hair care. By Killer Loop Sunglasses, by Bausch & Lomb. And by Southwest Airlines. It's just plain smart.
Time now to highlight the women on the AVP Tour. Paul Sunderland and Jackie Silva and Linda Hanley getting together as they make the finals.
Well, they played extremely well throughout the course of the round robin. Undefeated Holly McPeak and Nancy Reno were 1 and 2 in round robin competition, but they snuck in because they were +4 in points, so we'll see them in the final.
And this is a real good final. We will pick up the action, and what a comeback this match has been. McPeak and Reno, they just jumped out early, Paul, but then it was Silva and Hanley coming back strong.
Well, Reno and McPeak were up 7-0, 10-1, and then Jackie Silva and Linda Hanley started doing exactly what they had done throughout the course of the tournament. Jump serving well, playing good defense, and Jackie Silva making great plays across the board.
Silva right there with the great defense all the way to the back.
Exactly like that. Holly McPeak cannot believe that Jackie Silva out a couple of weeks because of an injury to her hamstring, scrambling, playing good defense, and making Holly McPeak try to cover the entire court.
Hanley, of course, on the other hand, out of retirement. Silva Hanley all the way back to tie it up at 14. Jackie Silva serving here.
Big chance for Linda Hanley here, who has played better and better each and every week.
Holly McPeak with the great dig, and no. So all the way now to a championship point.
Well, and Hanley and Silva were down so far, down 10-1. We're going, boy, this women's final is a stinker. But here we are. They're sitting on championship point. And again, it was they who played so well yesterday and this morning and went through the round robin undefeated. Championship point #1 at the service line, Jackie Silva.
You don't want to do that.
Well, especially when you have Nancy Reno and Holly McPeak feeling the pressure, clearly disappointed that they had let this huge lead slip away.
McPeak and Reno, just a great side-out team. When you look at Silva and Hanley, that's a team small, not a big block up there at all. Silva. And that's wide, and we're tied again, Paul, at this point at 15 all.
Well, sometimes when you have to make a big comeback, you expend so much physical and mental energy that you make some very slight unforced errors right at the very end of the match. Obviously, that sky ball is not going to count at 15 all. We're going to get a change of sides.
This, of course, the last week of the round-robin format, too, for the women.
Well, and from Chicago on, these women will team up with partners. And that doesn't mean they can't change in the future. But as I have sorted it out, we've got Holly McPeak playing with Linda Carrillo, Nancy Reno playing with Angela Rock, Jackie Silva with Cammie Chiarelli, and Linda Hanley playing with Olympic superstar Rita Crockett. Those are the 4 teams that have sorted things out, and they'll go head-to-head when these teams get back together in Chicago. You look at the standings after several weeks. Linda Carrillo being so consistent, but it is so tight. Look at that.
Nancy Reno, Angela Rock, Cammie Chiarelli, Holly McPeak, all within 3 points of one another. Then Linda Hanley, she'll pick up some good points, making it to the finals this week. Rita Crockett has been struggling, but I watched her this weekend, and she's starting to play some better volleyball. And Jackie Silva down at the bottom, the result of having a partially torn hamstring and going back to Brazil and missing 3 weeks of competition.
We are at 15 all.
Serve long, side
That
out.
serve is long. Side out now to the team of Silva and Hanley. Of course, Hanley, the wife of John Hanley, Linda Robertson Hanley.
All-American at UCLA and has won a couple of titles out on the Women's Pro Beach Tour. Her first year out on the AVP Women's Challenge. Of course, this is the inaugural season. And she's the mother of two and was retired and wanted to, just support John in his volleyball endeavors. But when the AVP called, she said, yeah, let's go for it.
Good look at Holly McPeak, who will jump it up at 15 all. Crowd enjoying this great women's action as they have every week since the women joined AVP. And that's a point. It's now 16-15.
Well,
Championship point.
Another tired, unforced error. Again, Hanley and Silva have expended so much energy coming back in this championship that now that they are right on the brink, they just don't have the physical and mental energy to finish it off. And Holly McPeak has played very, very well throughout the round-robin women's challenge. She plays good defense. She's played well with a number of different partners. She's going to team up with Linda Carrillo, who's the most experienced player out here in the AVP Women's Challenge, and I think they'll do a fine job together.
This, of course, will look back at the women's final, the championship, and championship point number 1 for McPeak and Reno, with McPeak serving. Chance to win it right here. And that's it. And the winners, McPeak and Reno, Paul.
Nancy Reno and Holly McPeak went out to a huge lead. Have to be very, very thankful that they escaped with that victory.
And there is our final. McPeak and Reno, Silva and Hanley, and once again, Paul Sunderland. Next week, it really gets real because we will now have regular partners in the women's final standing.
Well, here, of course, we just saw McPeak and Reno win. Nancy Reno, we didn't get a chance to talk about her very much. She played extremely well all week and a great, great athlete. It's good to see Jackie Silva back and healthy along with Linda Hanley. They finished second. Angela Rock and Rita Crockett, they're in third position. And Cammie Chiarelli, along with her partner, down in fourth position. Linda Carrillo this week. And there are the Grand Prix standings as we speak. Very, very tight. It's going to be interesting in Chicago when these teams split up.
Going to take a break. When we come back with more great action from the Jersey Shore. So stay with us, everybody. We are back and set for our final first serve. Mike Dodd into the air it goes to Karai and Steffes. And this will be Karch Karai. As Mike Whitmarsh backs off, it'll be side out Karai and Steffes. Bill McDonald back along with Paul Sunderland. Let's talk about the combatants here in this final. Paul Sunderland, and right there, that gentleman is the key to it all, Mike Whitmarsh.
Well, the spotlight's on Mike Whitmarsh. Unfortunately, had to go get an IV treatment, as we've talked about, after the finals of the winner's bracket. A good 2.5 hour break. He was feeling ill, queasy, dehydrated, and had some treatment. Now, there you get a good look at him. Mike is an outstanding athlete, had a chance at playing in the NBA, has been out on the Pro Beach Tour for 4 or 5 seasons, and is more and more successful each and every year. Ball handling mistake once again here by Kent Steffes and Karch Karai.
Now, a couple of things to take into consideration. I talked to Whitmarsh just moments ago. Right before he took the court to warm up, he said, I feel terrible. I don't know if I can go. By that, he meant he doesn't know if he can go the 15 in the first game. What might happen is they might just, in a sense, bag this game to 15 and go to the game to 7 in the double final and take their chances there.
This is going to take a little while, so stay with me. Double elimination format on the Miller Lite Pro Beach Volleyball circuit means you've got to have 2 losses in order to be eliminated from the tournament. Karch Karai, who you're looking at serving right now, he and his partner have 1 loss. Dodd and Whitmarsh are undefeated. Now, if Dodd and Whitmarsh were to win the first game here to 15, the tournament would be over. They're the champions. If Karai and Steffes win, then we will play a game to 7, what we call a double final, to decide the championship, since each team would then have 1 loss. Now, the option is for Dodd and Whitmarsh to say, hey, we forfeit. We're not going to play this game to 15. We're out of here. And then
they would just have to play the 1 game to 7 to decide the
winner
championship.
take all in this.
Of course, they would never do that under normal circumstances, but with Whitmarsh cramping, feeling ill, you might roll the dice on a short game to 7 rather than having exhausted himself in this game to 15. You lose a close game. Karai and Steffes come back and kill him in the game to 7.
And it looks as though early on they're going to give it a go and see how things go with Mike Whitmarsh. And if he feels like he can go in this game and give it a chance to win it, I think they'll stay competitive. But it is something to think about along the lines. And so the whole thing here is to keep an eye on Whitmarsh and then the strategy that Karai and Steffes employ on the team of Dodd and Whitmarsh.
Well, they're going to serve Whitmarsh, no doubt about that. Mike Dodd is a vet. He knows the game of beach volleyball, and he was thinking about all his options.
Whitmarsh gets it back up, going to get another chance. Yes, sir. Side out. Dodd Whitmarsh, they're on top, 1-0.
Talked about the athletic ability of Mike Whitmarsh, 6'7". Look how quick he is. Gets blocked, comes back and covers with one hand, down, up, back to the net for the kill.
We also mentioned this sand, tough to move in, tough to jump in, and you got 2 big guys in Whitmarsh and Dodd. They don't have to get up quite as high as the other guys do. That one's right over Whitmarsh. Nice shot by Ken Steffes.
Mike Whitmarsh, people thought that he had some cramping problems at the Cuervo in Clearwater earlier in the year. Kent Steffes, 6'4", still not yet 25 years of age. Big and strong and playing well, making a lot of money.
That set off, so Karch able to backpedal the up. That's a good set on the net. Whitmarsh turns it nicely.
So far, Whitmarsh looks pretty good, and he's playing with a lot of composure and courage. He does not feel well. No doubt about that. Putting the ball away. Good defense here. Now watch at the very end of this play if we have it. Comes down, no slapping 5, no running around. Just go back to the service line, conserve your energy, and take care of business.
Karch. Just noticing, except he got that great dig going back, might seem a little slow on the defensive end, Mike Whitmarsh. Maybe because of the way he feels. There's Karch Karai, of course, all the gold medals hanging around his neck. Could have had another one. Maybe, if he was there, possibly.
Yes.
Could have made that difference.
Well, but, you know, Karch made his decision, and we've tried every which way but loose. I think he feels no remorse whatsoever about not playing in 1992. That's a closed door, a dead issue. I think he's very happy with his decision. But I think the United States could have won the gold medal if Steve Timmons did not hurt his Achilles tendon and was playing at less than 100% clearly, and that Brian Ivey didn't tear cartilage in his knee. The United States could have won the Olympics without him.
Dodd serving at 1-1, so early going final action here from Jersey.
Skyball still too short.
A little bit of a low set. Dodd eats it up. Good. And he puts it away with a spank.
Boy, Whitmarsh, excellent set. And we had a tip on the beach from Brent Frohoff about setting the ball in the wind. Well, that was a perfect example of Mike Whitmarsh bump setting the ball up in the air with some spin towards the net. Let the wind do the work of carrying it close, and Mike Dodd hammered it. Look at that. Whitmarsh sets the ball 7 or 8 feet off, and the wind just blows it right on top of the tape.
Somebody waving right behind you. Don't do that, please.
Jimmy Leonard, Marvin Hall, our referees. And that was Jimmy Leonard directing traffic.
Radar is working for Mike Dodd. Each time he serves the sky ball, it's a little bit deeper and deeper and deeper.
How about the rejuvenation of Mike Dodd this year? And it really has been, hasn't it, Paul Sunderland?
Well, I thought he played some of the best volleyball at the end of last year, and Karch Karai said Mike Dodd was playing as well or better than anybody on tour at the end of last season. Played very well in the King of the Beach, and then this year started out with Tim Hovland, won in Phoenix.
Whoa, look at this play.
We'll get to the rest of that later, but we got to talk about this great rally. Both teams hustling, working hard. Mike Whitmarsh with the finish, but Dodd and Hovland had arguably the greatest comeback of all time, but they are no more, and Mike Dodd is with Mike Whitmarsh for exactly this reason. Get the ball up there and let the big man do his job.
Let the big dog eat. Karch down. We're at 2-1. Dodd Whitmarsh over Karai Steffes. This is our final. If Karai Steffes win, as Paul mentioned early, we will go to a double final. That's a game to 7. That's a great serve. No chance at all for Mike Dodd.
Kirai and Steffes on the good side. And Karch Kirai ripping this one into the wind. A lot of side spin, and it just dives right at the sideline.
And from right behind Karch Kirai.
Good, Mike. Angle. Nice, Mike.
Touch.
Whitmarsh.
Not enough. Side out, Whitmarsh.
Good example of the communication. Mike Dodd sets the ball, calls the area of the court that's open. That time you could clearly hear him say angle. After you set the ball, you've got to look at the defense and communicate with the offensive player. See how deep Mike Dodd can get this sky ball.
MD, if it's going to clear.
Like I said, his radar is working. Everyone is deeper and deeper. That was about 25 feet short of target.
Whitmarsh was going to head it over. Whitmarsh, the great basketball player that he was. Don't know if he has any soccer skills at all. Tough one. Karch is going to get that one right back over, but Whitmarsh just throws out the hand, and they take advantage. How lucky can you get? That was sort of a nonchalant play there by Whitmarsh and Dodd, and it paid off.
Well, Steffes went to sleep a little bit. The shot hit Mike Dodd off the block, so this ball's got to come. And Steffes is waiting for him to set the ball. Just not a good read by Kent Steffes.
So fortunate that we're still at 2-2.
Mike Dodd would not ordinarily block if Mike Whitmarsh were healthy. Mike Whitmarsh staying back on the back line. Mike Dodd covering for him a little bit, taking some jumps away from Mike Whitmarsh.
And you have said the mental aspect of Whitmarsh and his past and knowing about it is going to ride on him throughout this match.
Mine! Okay! Nobody.
Karch with nobody up. Easily placed, and we'll take the turn. 3-2, Kirai Steffes over Dodd Whitmarsh. Our final here from Jersey. No flipping around. We know you're not going anywhere. Stay with us.
Men's Pro Beach Volleyball is brought to you by Miller Lite. It's everything you want a beer to be. By Paul Mitchell, cruelty-free salon hair care. By Killer Sunglasses, by Bausch & Lomb. And by Southwest Airlines. It's just plain smart.
We are back. Bill McDonald along with Paul Sunderland, the shores of Jersey. And, you know, I called for it on camera a couple of minutes ago. I was so anxious, but now it's finally here, Sunday stuff.
All right, never shortchange the stuff. The bigger they are, you know the tag, the harder they fall. We got to keep an eye on Mike Whitmarsh. And the key for Whitmarsh and Dodd, get Kirai and Steffes early or don't get them at all. Boy, it's cliche week, isn't it? And we got a stuff feast for Mike Whitmarsh. Kent Steffes hates playing against Mike Whitmarsh when he's healthy. And let's take a look at how these teams got here. We'll take a look at the road they have each traveled.
We'll get back on that road a little later on. But right now, the road leads down to the serve of Karch Kirai. Serving Mike Whitmarsh, as we've seen quite often here in the early going. Right back. It'll be Dodd's turn. Bingo.
Mike Dodd rips it across to the deep corner.
Mike Dodd and Mike Whitmarsh only trail by one at 3-2. And are asking themselves some questions here. Mike Dodd's going to try to take as many balls as he can from Whitmarsh, save him a jump. That's why he's up there blocking. He's going to try to cover as much court as he possibly can against his, well, I should say, with his fatigued partner.
Kirai, Dodd's there, but no way that Whitmarsh is going to be able to move in that sand with his condition. So that'll go to Steffes.
You know, Billy, I was starting to say at 3-2, obviously Dodd and Whitmarsh are in the match, but are they willing to expend all this energy? I shouldn't say they, I mean Mike Whitmarsh, willing to expend all this energy and lose, let's say, 15-11, and then be exhausted for the double final. They can lose this game. They can say, hey, we forfeit. I'm tired. I'm sick. And then go ahead and roll the dice on the one game to 7.
What do you do? Would you just get to the point? You just start shanking them out, or you just kind of go half at it? Or what would you do at that point? I mean, here's Whitmarsh going up again.
I'll tell you, I think right now they feel that they got to give the fans an honest shot in the game to 15. If they start to get blown out, good enough, then you might see them lay down in this game to 15. But I think that they're coming out and playing as hard as they possibly can.
4-2, they're down.
Full timeout.
And we have a timeout. So this could be an indication. You wouldn't normally see a timeout at 4-2 this early with this much time on the clock, unless there is a problem with Whitmarsh that he feels like he's got to sit for a full timeout, which is what we have, and we'll be back Come along and enjoy the ride with us. We are back to Miller Lite AVP Tour 1993. Bill McDonald back along with Paul Sunderland. And an interesting and unique situation has arisen. When we went to commercial, it was 4-2. Kirai Steffes over Dodd Whitmarsh. They called a timeout. Did Dodd Whitmarsh. It turned into a medical timeout. And then Paul Sunderland, you can take it from here. Mike Whitmarsh unable to continue.
Well, we talked about the medical problems, physical problems he has had, and one of my keys was the bigger they are, the harder they fall. Well, Mike Whitmarsh has taken his first fall. Whitmarsh and Dodd, having come into this final undefeated, now have one loss. They're rolling the dice that they can now play the game to 7 against Kirai and Steffes, who also have one loss. It's going to come right down to that one quick game to 7 for the championship.
So Dodd Whitmarsh officially forfeit this game, but we'll be back with the final to 7 after this. Stay with us. AVP Stars. And as we come on back onto the shore here at Jersey, our double final now. Karts Kirai, Kent Steffes against Mike Dodd and Mike Whitmarsh with the score 4-2. In the previous game, Dodd and Whitmarsh forfeit the game, and here we are. First one to 7 wins, and the time clock is at 5, and serving will be Mike Dodd, and expect a skyball strategy now going into this double final.
Mike Whitmarsh went into the first game of the final to assess his physical condition. He talked to his partner. He says, look, if we have any chance of winning this tournament, it's only going to be if we play quick. Into the double final, quick game to 7. There you see it, 1 game to 7. You only have to win by 1 side change every 2 points, 5-minute clock, and then we go into double overtime if that expires.
And we have seen some of the most tremendous finishes in volleyball history during this double final era over the last couple of years. So we might see a fantastic finish here if Mike Whitmarsh can hold out. No score, and Whitmarsh will go back and serve. And they'll work Steffes. Dodd is there. Great defensive player.
Right on top.
Yes! 1-0.
Good for the boys. 1-0.
Karch Kirai deciding not to block, and Mike Dodd really making him pay for it. Here's the dig cross court. Now the key, watch right here. Karch Kirai's thinking, do I block? Do I block? What happens with the set? And Dodd got a straight down opportunity and capitalized.
Cross the court, side out. Kirai Steffes.
If you're Kirai Steffes, you don't want to give Dodd and Whitmarsh a whiff of a win here, because Whitmarsh just may just think right through that injury and get into the game.
Exactly right. I started to talk about Clearwater earlier in the summer. Mike Whitmarsh in the finals against Kirai and Steffes. Then Whitmarsh was playing with Brian Lewis, and they were way down 12-5. Whitmarsh had cramps, not feeling well. All of a sudden, he hung in there. He played through it. The crowd got behind him. They were sitting there 12-12 with a chance to win. So Kirai and Steffes under a lot of pressure here.
By our calculations, Dodd's 3rd final and Whitmarsh's 3rd final this year. Kirai and Steffes regular customers to the final game.
Mike Dodd has a win earlier in the season in Phoenix with former partner, longtime partner, Tim Hovland.
They beat Kirai and Steffes. Good dig. Can't up. Good dig by Whitmarsh, hanging in. Tough play for Dodd, but he keeps it alive.
No, it's not going to count. Not going to count.
And Dodd is going to argue.
The ball contacted the net outside the antenna.
Perfect eye for it on the line. If he saw it,
Mike Dodd bump set that ball, got a lucky break. If the ball contacts the apparatus right outside the antenna, it is automatically violation and out of play. Tough call for Dodd and Whitmarsh early. Tied at 1 on the side change.
Double final action. First one to 7. Got to do it by 1.
Dodd and Whitmarsh on the good side now.
As they make the change every 2 points. Side out.
You know, some people might sit back and say, you know, Dodd and Whitmarsh, they should have played the game to 15, but I think this was their only opportunity to win the tournament, and that's why they came. This was a smart move. Assess Whitmarsh's physical status in the game to 15, can't go on, and then you roll the dice in a game to 7.
And it was something Dodd was thinking about while Whitmarsh was still in the hospital. Up, over, in.
Silver the block, good for the side out.
Whitmarsh can just push himself. 4 minutes on the game clock. He needs to push himself for 20 minutes of volleyball, and he has an excellent chance to win here. And I talked about the stuff fest. Kent Steffes, Mike Whitmarsh has had good success against him.
And a nice easy shot as Karch was going line that time, and cross court goes Whitmarsh. And Mike Dodd will go back and serve on the good side at 1-1, 3:54-3 remaining. Block kept alive. That's a big play by Steffes if he can get it back, and it is. Boy, that was 2-1 staring him straight in the face.
And all of a sudden, Mike Whitmarsh is feeling better if that ball goes down for a score. This was a big cover. Look at Whitmarsh jumping into the cross court, and Steffes is right there, always down and ready.
First 8 tournaments of the year, Whitmarsh played with Lewis. This is the 4th in a row with Dodd.
And they have been really up and down, and that's really frustrated Mike Whitmarsh throughout the course of his season. He'd have a 9th, he'd have a 2nd, he'd have an 8th, an 11th, or 13th, I should say, and then a top finish. Just has not been able to have good, consistent finishes.
And in there for Kirai and Steffes. So a point at 2-1. So you see the turn there, the 2-point switch. It was basically down to go 2-1 Dodd Whitmarsh. And off comes the shirt. An appropriate response, of course, from some in the crowd.
Just threw it to some very attractive young lady in the 4th row. And
if you got to pick your spots,
that's right. That's right. It was an accurate toss.
So maybe his mind is all there, Mike Whitmarsh, now not completely fatigued. Whitmarsh up on Steffes, and that just kissed the line. Just kissed it. And the side out at 2-1. Kirai Steffes have another chance.
Serving Steffes a lot of balls here in the double final. Going to try to work on him. Mike Whitmarsh feels that he can get to Kent Steffes.
And it is warm down on the surface. We're a little cool up here in the breeze, but down there, baking.
After their victory in the semifinals, when I had a chance to talk to Karch and Ken after we finished with the other interview, I went over to congratulate Dan Verbalovich on a good comeback tournament performance by him. And I'll tell you, he said, Paul, it is hot down here. And the enclosed stadium cuts off all the breeze from the ocean. And it is very, very hot down on the playing surface.
There's got to be a 10, 15 degree difference from up here and down there.
Easily.
And I'm not kidding. 2-1, Steffes with the jumper to Whitmarsh. Can they go 3-1? Yes, they can. And kind of a token effort by Whitmarsh. He was just upset about the hit before. 3-1, Kirai Steffes over Dodd Whitmarsh. We're going to 7 in our double final. Stay with us. McDonald back along with Paul Sunderland, and say hello to America along Prime Network. Everyone here at Seaside Heights, New Jersey. Kirai Steffes and Dodd Whitmarsh.
And here come our players again.
And of course, we will give away our Killer Loop Kill Award to the player with the most kills at the end of our match following this final.
And ironically, it might be Mike Whitmarsh.
It might be when all is said is done.
That may be a booby prize. That just means that he's getting served more and more. There you see Steffes with the lead, Whitmarsh down by 1, and the opposition, Kirai and Steffes, aware that Mike Whitmarsh not feeling 100% and are going to work on him.
Steffes, this time Dodd, however.
That's a serving mistake. That's a big mistake, but it's going to turn out okay.
A big dig by Steffes, up, down, yes! 4-1.
What a fabulous dig by Kent Steffes. No block once again by Karch Kirai, feeling awfully confident in his team's ability to dig the ball. Look at this, hit straight down, and then Kirai with a stretched out chase, giving his partner something good enough to dig.
How about the set by Karch as he dove over the line with the bump set. Great stuff by Kirai. 4-1, Karch and Kent over the 2 Mikes.
Up 4-1, game to 7. Kirai and Steffes on the good side, and now that they have this lead, have to feel very, very confident. But if I'm Kent Steffes and Karch Kirai, and here, look, we got 1 game to 7 to win. We've come back through the losers bracket, but boy, can Mike Whitmarsh, can he stuff a couple of balls? I really think that they're breathing a lot easier now.
Whitmarsh, yes, that went off the wing of Steffes. If you're Mike Dodd, you gotta feel a little frustrated. You get to this point, and you know there's nothing you could do about it, and really there's probably nothing Whitmarsh can do about it either. But you're basically playing with 1.5.
Well, I know that Mike Whitmarsh is trying everything he possibly can to overcome this physical problem, and he has seen doctors, he's seen internists. I've talked about getting a trainer and going to see a dietitian and whatnot, a nutritionist. Here Mike Dodd, Mike Whitmarsh were in the driver's seat to win this tournament, and then he comes up with the cramps and the heat exhaustion, and it looks like it's going to cost him the championship here.
Ace back line, Karch Kirai 5-1, and they are definitely in control. Looking at the finish line.
This is what happens when you're on the good side. You got to know the conditions, know the court. Ripping this one, no chance for Dodd or Whitmarsh. That's into the wind, lots of top spin, and then down right on the back stripe.
You can be as healthy as you've ever been, and you're not going to get that serve.
No, that's untouchable.
Good. 5-1. With the cap turned around, maybe to change his luck. Kirai swinging here, little one. Whitmarsh. Big Mike.
Whitmarsh is not going to go down easily. Got a lot of athletic ability and showing some courage, trying to gut this one out. If Mike Whitmarsh could get over this problem, he could win 4 or 5 tournaments a year. He only has 1 career win, and that was ironically against Kirai and Steffes last year in New Orleans, when of all people Karch Kirai cramped. So that led to his only victory so far out on the Pro Beach Tour. That was with Brent Frohoff.
Side out.
5-1. Side out belongs to Kent Steffes, as they look to make it 5 wins in a row. Remember last year, 13 wins in a row to tie the great Mengeson Lee for the all-time consecutive mark. He tied it in Cleveland, then came home to Southern California and couldn't get it done for 14. Very similar situation. It was this exact time last year that they were working on win number 5 in the streak. And they're just a couple of points away, maybe only 1. Just 1 point away now from their 5th in a row, as he is now 6-1 here in the double final. Got to get to 7, so championship point right here.
We've talked a lot about Mike Whitmarsh and Mike Dodd, but you got to give a lot of credit to Karch Kirai and Kent Steffes. They lost in the semifinals of this tournament to the same team, 12-11 in overtime, and have fought their way all the way back through the contenders bracket.
There it is!
Just won championship number 5 in a row and 9 out of 12 on the year.
An awesome showing, and really what was probably a foregone conclusion when Whitmarsh earlier went to the hospital, not able to continue in the first game, forfeiting, moving on to the double final, where it was an easy win for Kirai and Steffes, winning 7-1 and taking the championship here at Seaside Heights, New Jersey. Paul and I will be back. We'll have an interview and more after this. All over here in Jersey on Prime Network, our Southwest Airlines scoreboard. Karch Kirai, Kent Steffes outlast Mike Dodd and Mike Whitmarsh in the championship double final, 7-1. And our Miller Lite play of the game, well, it wasn't really a play at all, but it was a condition of Mike Whitmarsh unable to continue after falling behind 4-2 in the final. Dodd and Whitmarsh forfeit, and they go on to the double final, where they then lose by the score of 7-1. Down on the sand with our winners, Karch Kirai and Kent Steffes, is, of course, Paul Sunderland.
Once again, Karch Kirai, Kent Steffes win the championship. Karch, last week in Cleveland, you were under the weather. This week, unfortunately, Mike Whitmarsh, were you aware of his condition and he was not 100%?
Well, some people had talked about it in the tent, but I feel really bad because he even told me that he's been really taking good care of himself the last year, especially the last month. And there are a couple of guys who just have kind of a biochemical problem, and hopefully they can work it out.
All right. Now, Kent, when they forfeited in the game to 15, it comes out just a sprint to 7, and you've at times had your problems against Mike Whitmarsh. You're a little nervous going into that quick game?
No, I wasn't really nervous. I knew that if I get up and hit the ball high and hard, I'll be able to get it by him. But the only thing I was thinking of was the 6-1 up in Phoenix when we gave it away to Mike. And so when we got that 6th point, I was thinking, I want to get it over early so we don't have to worry about it.
All right, speaking of early, I know you got a flight to catch, but it seemed as this tournament went on, you played better and better. Why?
I don't know why we didn't play very well this morning. We fell down 10-5 against Mike and Mike, and from there we played pretty well. We played very well through the losers, and sometimes it helps to be in the losers bracket because you can really push your way through, and we were serving much better. There's no pressure.
All right, no pressure. Mike Whitmarsh playing as hard as he possibly can under some tough situations with Kirai and Steffes. 5th win in a row, 9 out of 12 on the year.
Thank you, Paul, and our champions, Kirai and Steffes. Paul will rejoin me for final thoughts after this, so stay with us, everybody. And it is time now to give away our Killer Loop Killer Award, $500 to the gentleman with the most kills in our final match. And here at Seaside Heights, the Open, it belongs to Mr. Kent Steffes, who also is a champion along with Karch Kirai. He wins $500, our Killer Loop Killer Award. And welcome back, everybody. Bill McDonald along with Paul Sunderland. Well, a very interesting result, wasn't it?
Well, it was certainly in doubt until Mike Whitmarsh forfeited the game to 15 and then went into the double final. We knew certainly then that his physical condition was less than 100%, probably less than 50%. He was feeling very, very poorly and tried to gut it out through the rest of the tournament, but just unable to do it. And Kirai and Steffes, you got to give them some credit. They came back through the losers bracket. They played good volleyball. They dominated in the losers and win another championship.
We'll see if the stats told the story here in Jersey, and obviously if it did, it would all belong to Kirai and Steffes.
Well, leading in kills, clearly blocking, not a factor at all, and Mike Whitmarsh was going to have to do something to block the ball. Digs even. You know, the numbers tell the story. Kirai and Steffes doing the job when they have to, but this match was over as soon as Mike Whitmarsh had to go to the hospital. That decided it.
Grand Prix standings, and the rich just keep getting richer as far as the points are concerned.
Well, look at Kirai and Steffes. They've almost doubled it up on Randy Stoklos and St. John Smith, who are 3rd and 4th respectively in the field. Vandeweghe, Ludies, and Frohoff make up the first group at the top. Johnson, Dodd, and then down to the Brazilians. You see Brian Lewis, Mike Whitmarsh, former partners, down at 11 and 12. Tim Hovland's going to lose some distance, or some money, I should say, this week because of the injury to his hamstring, and had to sit out this week, but he'll be back in Chicago.
Next week is Chicago. It won't be on Prime, but it's going to be a big, big event, and obviously a lot of guys are gearing towards it.
Well, everybody loves to play in Chicago. Huge crowds. Hopefully the weather will cooperate. That's always the problem in Chicago. Do you think you're going to get a beautiful day like we've had here in Seaside, or are we going to get rain, thunderstorms, and sometimes hail? But the players really focus on Chicago, Manhattan Beach, Hermosa. Those are the big, big tournaments of the year. And will Scott Akitebi play with Steve Timmons? Will he play with Tim Hovland? Will Verbalovich and Smith stay together? And will Kirai and Steffes lose the rest of the year?
Theoretical question, which I'm just going to throw out at you. Can Kirai and Steffes go 13 in a row just like they did last year? Or are there just too many good teams out there that are going to stop them?
Well, they can win. Last week in Cleveland, they were down 13-8 in the finals of the winners bracket to Akitebi and Hovland. Came back and won that. That was the key, certainly because Kirai was under the weather. They can win 13 in a row. They can win every tournament the rest of the year. I don't think they will. I really don't think they will. I'm waiting for Randy Stoklos and Brian Lewis to finally play the way they can. Whitmarsh and Dodd prove that they can get to the finals. Whitmarsh has got to take care of this physical problem. There are 10 other good teams, but as I said at the very beginning of the tournament today, they're all beating each other up, as evidenced by Mike Whitmarsh, and then they're too tired to compete against Kirai and Steffes.
Great day here in Jersey, especially for Kirai and Steffes. And of course, we will see you again down the road on Prime Network. So long, everybody.
Miller Lite Pro Beach Volleyball has been brought to you by Miller Lite. It's everything you want a beer to be. By Paul Mitchell, cruelty-free salon hair care. By Killer Loop Sunglasses by Bausch & Lomb. By Southwest Airlines, it's just plain smart. And by Gatorade for that deep down body thirst.
We'll have more action for you, of course, on the Miller Lite Pro Beach Volleyball Tour right here on Prime Network in a couple of weeks from Ocean City, Maryland, the Ocean City Open. Check your local times and listings. This event has been operated and sanctioned by the AVP, the Association of Volleyball Professionals, recognized worldwide as the leader in Pro Beach Volleyball.